Welcome to our coverage of ASUG Annual Conference and Sapphire Now 2014. We are here in the ASUG News Studio, which is sponsored by NTT Data, and we're going to be talking and previewing Hasso Plattner's keynote here on day 2 of Sapphire Now Annual Conference. Delighted to have 3 exceptional ASUG board members up on the board here. We're going to have a lot of fun with the next 10 minutes talking about what we're going to hear for the rest of the day. To my right is Anthony Bosco. Anthony, welcome back to the studio.
Thank you. Good to see you.
TJ Graven, another board member. I think this is your first appearance.
It is.
We gave you an all-star lineup here, so you'll be okay. And then Paul Roche down at the end. Paul, welcome back.
Thanks, Tom. Glad to be here.
So we're going to hear today about the future of enterprise applications. TJ, maybe I'll kick this one to you. In your opinion, what does that future of enterprise applications look like?
I think the future of enterprise applications for all of us is about growth. It's about identifying ways to unlock new customer opportunities or better margin opportunities. And so the architecture will change. We all know that. It's changed over the years, but it has to remain about growth. And I think applications have largely been about the present time or the immediate past, and the predictive nature of applications is upon us. And so the challenge, I think, as we talk about a lot, is on our organizations as leaders to develop the capability to ask software to do different things and to do things that will help us grow. And so I'm excited to hear about the future, and but it's kind of my perspective on it.
Great. Paul, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think to add to what TJ said, a big piece of enterprise applications going forward is the initiative to try to make them look more like consumer applications. So people use applications at home, they get used to a look and feel, and especially the younger generation coming up, aren't going to want to deal with a kludgy user interface or complex processes. So I think the goal in enterprise applications going forward is going to be how do we make them look more like consumer apps? How do we make them function more like apps, require less training, and I think that's where it's going to go in the future, and with the recent announcement around Fiori, that's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. Actually, I'm going to kick it to you, Anthony. Your company's done, people work for you, done some great work with Fiori. How was the news yesterday? Did you know?
Well, no, I was very happy. I don't want to say I was completely surprised. I think one of our VPs had a feature in ASUG News, and we talked about Fiori as a great product, but it should be included as part of the suite.
Yep.
And I like to think we had something to do with pushing that over the edge. So I was very pleased with that.
I mean, that's the one core thing of the ASUG influence, and you guys talking about the future. Anthony, you've been on the board for a while. What does ASUG, do you think, have to do to help influence? You know, we're going to hear from Hasso, his vision, but what can we do as ASUG to help get our stamp on that?
Well, I mean, you heard my colleagues here talk about it is about the consumerization of software, having it look more like the software that we use in our daily life. The thing that I like so far, and I expect to hear more from Hasso, when we talk about the enterprise, we're not just talking about individual pieces of technology. And software companies have to do that from time to time. You focus on technology shifts. But what Bill McDermott said yesterday, I think he used one of our phrases, the integrated enterprise. It is all back now to integration, end-to-end within the suite.
Yep.
I think our future is our past, except we're on better software, faster technology.
Absolutely. Paul, I was going to ask your thoughts on HANA as we go forward. Do you think HANA will become less visible, meaning it'll just be behind the scenes and won't be talking about as much as SAP integrates into much, or where do you think the future will lie there?
Yeah, I think if you fast forward 4 or 5 years, there's not much discussion on HANA. It just happens to be the database and the underlying application server as it continues to grow. I think right now it's a big deal because people aren't on it and they see benefits of going to it. And there's obviously cost, integration, a lot of things that Anthony talked about. There's a lot of challenges to getting there. I think 5, 6, 7 years from now, when almost all SAP customers are there, and really any new customer, I would think, would go on automatically from the start. So I think there's a lot of noise and talk about it now because it's an integration issue, and again, a cost issue. But going forward, I think it's its own really, really fast database that enables the business to do a lot of things that they're not even considering doing today because they can't be done in a traditional database. Those things will be automatic in the coming years. I don't think it'll be much of a discussion.
But you mentioned there's some work to be done. Does ASUG actually have another role here to help as we look at the next couple of years?
I think they do. I think we as ASUG need to understand maybe HANA isn't its own focus, but how does HANA relate to our special interest groups? How does HANA relate to within our chapter meetings? So I think every chapter meeting that I've been to recently had HANA as a component of the discussion. And I think that needs to continue until the good percentage of the customers have moved on to it, and then it's back to what's next, what's the next topic.
And I'm excited about changing the conversation in some ways, which beyond HANA and architecture, and allowing our people to think about what's really important to growing the business. And so suddenly I think that's, as we move through this HANA path and down this path where it becomes more ubiquitous and more common, we have an opportunity to really add value and grow the right.
Yeah, I mean, you asked, what's the role of ASUG? I mean, ASUG, I think, has two roles. We got to provide feedback to SAP and to the ecosystem, how to make it better, how to make it more seamless, how to make it more integrated. The other role is to provide knowledge and experience to the user group, to the community, so that they can take what's out there, bring it, make it their own, and transform their organization. Those are our two areas of focus.
Absolutely. Well, if we were doing an NFL kickoff game, right, we would predict the score. So maybe we should predict how long Hasso's keynote would go. He's got 2 hours. I'm going to take the over on that.
I'm taking the over.
You're going to take the over?
Yeah, I'm going to stay with the over.
Anyone taking the under?
No, it's unanimous.
Gentlemen, thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. For more SAP stories, please go to asugnews.com.